Good evening and welcome to another edition of Capital Market Live on Channels Television, where the market speaks and we analyze. I am Will Ibong. Let's jump straight into the market, shall we? And we begin with stocks outside Nigeria, where we see European bank stocks fell on Friday as credit concerns spread from the U.S. to European markets. The Stoxx 600 closed nearly 1% lower, with bank shares dropping about 2.5% after sharp losses earlier in the session. We saw sellers followed in the U.S. markets, but looking at the FTSE 100, we see down 0.86%, DAX in Germany 1.82%, and CAC 40 in France 0.86% as well. Jefferies shares, that's regional banks, we see that tumbling amid the fears of hidden bad loans in that region. Now let's see Asian markets and how they performed on Friday. They fell on Friday, I would say, amid rising banking fears and trade tensions. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index led the declines, dropping 2.48% to 25,247 points. We see, and that's the steepest fall since April. The Shanghai Index, that slipped 1.95% to 3,839 points. And we see the Nikkei in Japan losing 1.44% to close at 47,582 points. Now let's look at U.S. stocks, see if they've performed any better from their peers in other climbs. U.S. stocks, we see them rising sharply Friday as traders welcome the softer tone from Washington on trade talks with China, easing fears of more tariffs and financial strain in that financial sector. Now the Dow Jones gained 238 points to close at 46,190 points. We see the Nasdaq up over 0.5%. Also, the S&P 500 also with a similar margin, 0.53% to 6,664 points. And we see that the Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed that plans to speak with his Chinese counterparts, and President Trump also said that in a meeting Xi Jinping was still likely to happen this month with his counterpart there, hinted at proposed 100% tariffs on China. They might be putting that on hold. Now, back home here, we're looking at the NASD over-the-counter securities exchange. We see that closed bullish this week as the NSI, that's the index, climbed 4.9%, that's nearly 5% to 3,620 points, pushing the market capitalization to 2.17 trillion naira. Investors' participation soared. We saw with 127.25 million shares traded, up 1,609% there. We see value at 1.7 billion naira, and all in 120 deals, and this is marking a 21% rise in activity. CSCS, as the Central Securities Clearing System, led the gainers chart. Let's look at that with a 48.79% gain to close at 41.96 kobo. We see Double One PLC also featuring on that chart. On the flip side, NIPCO, Air Liquide, and Mixed Real Estate, they topped the losers list. Now, top traded securities for the week, where we see Painscom Investments Nigeria, Okitipupa Oil Palm, and Jewel Fluids. They made the top trades for investors. Investors couldn't get their hands enough of those stocks. Now look at the NGX now. Equities markets closed the week positive. All share index hits a new fresh record high, rising 1.35% to close at 148,977 points. We crossed the 148,000 level there. We see the market cap at 94.56 trillion naira and climbing 1.36%. Closer margin to the ASI. Now, despite the gains, total trade value dipped. We saw that 76.62 billion naira was traded. Volume was at 2.42 billion units sold, and all in 126,591 deals. Now, sector performance was largely bullish. Industrial goods led with 2.79%, and this was followed by insurance, consumer goods, oil and gas was slightly up. Now we saw that 0.04% up, while banking slipped 0.13%. Lone loser, I would say, for that indexes we track there. Now, Sovereign Trust Insurance, Royal Exchange, and Unicel Interlinked topped the gainers chart, while Triple G, Academy Press, and Regency Assurance, they led the week's losers. Let's see the top traded stocks, shall we? Included Consolidated, Hallmark Insurance, we saw Fidelity Bank topping the trades there, and Access Holdings also topping trades. Now, to break this down, what's been happening during the week, and to give us more insights as to the facts behind the figures, we have Mr. Ambrose Omodion, Chief Research Officer, Invest Data Consulting, to join us and give us a breakdown of what's happened. Good to have you join us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
And so this week, new high.
Yeah.
148,000, done and dusted. What next?
For me, it said that the market is also aiming to hit 150,000 marks, then for the end of the year, touching 200 as forecast early. Well, I believe that our market telling us that there are some positive cases for the market, and those positives are also impacting the market positively. And that is why also both foreign investors and local investors have shown sign in the market, looking at the money flow in the market, private liquidity is in the market, because also I've seen a rate cut, to try to move some funds from one investment window to the other. For equity market remain a play, because if you're earning dividend, capital appreciation in the same market, where you are ahead of what inflation, I think that would be more attraction in the market that people are seeing now, especially as we're entering the last quarter of the year, where seasonality comes with it. And also, I believe that if you look at our market history, the last quarter of the year has been the active quarter that people take advantage of that activities to create for themselves. That's why everybody is looking toward the market now. Especially as all eyes are on the earnings to give us more insight where you should position your portfolio. Are you leaving the banking for the insurance? Are you leaving the insurance for the consumer goods? Just like that.
Of course, this is the time to think of where to go. But we're all wondering where Femi Otedola is going, because he just reduced his stake, sold part of his stake in Geregu Power. What do you think is driving this move?
Actually, when you are looking at the economy, as the economy is also recovering faster, you look at where can I make investment. At the same time, whether he's selling down, it's also giving an opportunity for people also to participate in the company. I hope to make it more, for me, more profitable for those that are coming in. But in selling to good elsewhere, so that means it's looking at where there's another opportunity, and it's about investors. You look at where can I take advantage of expectation, because every investment is again the future. If you're looking at government policy, how it's going to impact the sector, you take action before the policy starts. For me, it's taking the right decision to shelve some to go elsewhere. And another thing that as a seller, somebody is picking that, that means there's no vacuum in the company for me. That is it.
Okay, but he's done this before. This is not the first time. In 2023, he sold some. So should investors see this or take this as a routine, management, portfolio management from Geregu or Otedola part in Geregu's, his portfolio is taking Geregu, or does it signal something deeper?
No, for every investor in anywhere in the world, diversification is the hallmark. You don't put your investment in one basket. If you are seeing opportunity elsewhere, it's free to divest or reduce its holding. Not that it's selling down. For me, it's not the thing that people should worry about. It
came from 95% to about 76 or 73 now. So that's a huge gap.
If it's there to remove about 20% of its holding, where it has 90%, retaining 70%, that 20% is going elsewhere. Every investor can do that. If you are holding, for example, now you have a Zenith Bank, position of 50% in your portfolio, you now see another opportunity elsewhere. You can share down some program, especially where you are taking funds to go, and not that you're taking the fund out of the market. That's the beauty of the investment.
Okay. So with 75, he still holds a controlling stake in the company.
Exactly.
So you think investors should be rest assured there's confidence still? He's not losing confidence in his company.
At all. Actually, if you also look at what is happening in that sector, I think investors should pay attention. If you are seeing a government holding about almost a 4 trillion naira bond, so that's going to kind of clean up some banks, balance sheet, some banks that are having some loan to all this sector also. Then at the same time, the company itself can also clean their books, and also the economy. Even this injunction can also help us to have more, megawatts in Nigeria. It will grow the economy. We need lights, power, energy to power the economy. I think for me, it's the right decision the government have taken. Clean that sector. Let's see more generating and more distributing, so that Nigeria can reduce this darkness here and there.
Really reduce the darkness here and there. Well, let's look at their earnings for a bit now. Geregu did release some kind of flat. Not investors probably were expecting more, but it was quite unchanged from what they had in 2024. We see the bottom line is the profit after tax at 24.2 billion in 2024, but in 2025 it's just 25.1 billion, and that's just 3.71% to be precise. That's the uptick we've seen.
For me, if you look at the numbers, they are not attractive to me. They are not looking, and also before now, Geregu movement in share price is not because of the number. And that's why, if you look at they are not expecting more, because, for almost 3 years, the average of dividend they'll be paying, even when the price was around 1,000 naira, even at 1.5, they're still paying their 8 naira, 50 kobo, 8 naira dividend. The earnings also are reporting already. As at third quarter, you're having about 10 naira 4 kobo, or 10 naira earning per share. At the end of the year, if we get around the 12 naira or 14 naira, that means I expect about doing 8 naira or 9 naira again, and at the price of what is selling. But I believe that investors are waiting for more earnings to come to the market. But good news, as I said earlier, this kind of reform in the sector is a good thing for the economy, and also you can see that others in that industry, like those that came from Transpower, you can see also that was a point that also there is kind of a relief in that industry. But I believe that more companies in that sector should come up so that let's take Nigeria to the next level, because in South Africa, you know how many megawatts they are enjoying today. Let's use this reform to boost our megawatts so that this company high cost of running diesel will reduce. I'll tell you anytime, any day, NEPA or what we call it is more cheaper for us to run our business. And if you have everywhere, the economy will move faster. We're seeing that we're recovering, and the World Bank is just forecasting that we're going to achieve either 3.9 GDP at the end of 2024. We need all this to drive that GDP. For me, it's a welcome development and government, I think that step to kind of reform the power energy sector.
Okay, so keeping that in mind about the reform in that sector and government intervention to keep that sector going, let's just compare Geregu and Transcorp Power for a bit now. We see, you mentioned the unattractive results from Geregu, but we see Transcorp Power did so well, did better, and they're both in the same sector. So what are the factors that are probably inhibiting Geregu to perform as much as Transcorp Power is doing right now, or they performed for the Q3?
No, when it comes to companies, they come with different characteristics. For Transpower, they have a lot of business under there, which more is coming, because one, the generating, they also distributing. For that, I think that is why we're seeing this performance. And at the same time, the numbers also speak for itself. In any economy, there's a kind of a criteria you see to that this company is doing well. But if you look at the two numbers that came from the industry, I'll tell you that yes, like you just mentioned, Transpower look better, because if we're having our inflation is about 18.02, and the times by trade about almost 36 or 38. And for you to say the top line of Transpower for me is a good one, about 38%. But when you look at the bottom line, that is where every investor is interested. Whether you have a white manager, you have a black manager, we're looking at numbers that will impact the dividend, which also move the price up. For that, the bottom line are also not too attractive for me, but there's an improvement from about any per share moving from 7 naira, 79 kobo to about 9, 12. For me, it's a good one, but we need them to do more.
So would you say that Geregu's cost of maybe production or cost of operations are some of the factors causing it to underperform? If company has their own strategy, they are in the same industry, in the same sector, but like I said, for Transcorp Power, they are generating, also they are distributing, and also there's a seamless process there, they are distributing. For me, they have access to more, but Geregu is just generating and also giving to the distribution. But I believe that they can do more. But I think also if you look at the market today, the price of Geregu and the price of Transpower, they varies. If you don't see more, but that's why when they just came to the market, you saw like 2 days movement for Transpower. But for Geregu, even with the number, it's still remaining. Even people are selling down at 100%, deep for the day. It's also there to move to go to another position. For me, the market is looking at where there is value, and that value is what we're all looking at. For me, Transpower stand out in that industry for now. Okay, so you just paint a picture for us in terms of you mentioned the 4 trillion naira intervention the government is bringing into this sector. What would the impact be for companies operating in that sector, let's say in next year, in the short term? What should we be expecting from those companies, and especially for investors who are looking to invest in this energy sector and not look elsewhere?
With this 4 trillion naira, for me, I believe that most of the loans that is hanging on this company, when the company is highly geared, investors will only retreat and invest in them. But with this one, they can clean their books. The equipment they need to generate more, to distribute more, also they invest in it, and that will boost the generation we're looking at. That is the way the economy, the Nigeria common man will benefit from the reform we're saying. For me, it's a good one, because if you are investing in your equipment to generate more and distribute more, that means we expect to see our megawatt crossing out to almost 10,000 megawatts. That would be the first time in the history of Nigeria that we're getting to that level. These are the way we can achieve it. For me, government should insist that not just clearing your book and also paying the one you are earning, is to use the money to kind of expand the industry so we can generate more light and have all these industrialized area have access to cheaper energy that also reflect on their number. That is the essence of this. Not just because it's Geregu, it's just because we need to drive the economy with cheaper energy.
Definitely, we need cheaper energy to be able to make profits. Companies need cheaper energy to make profits.
Exactly.
Higher cost of operations, always, energy is one of those big factors.
Exactly.
So that needs to take down. But we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, capital markets continues. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We are still live on Channel Television, Capital Market, and here in the studio we still have Mr. Ambrose Omodian. He's the Chief Research Officer in Invest Data Consulting, and we've been talking about earnings have been in focus. So we looked at the energy sector, we've talked about Geregu and Transpower. Geregu with a lackluster Q3 results, and we have Transpower there, pushing its power forward. But we're going to be looking at some other sectors, as the consumer goods, and we have oil and gas. Okumu oil is in focus right now, and it did release some good results, and investors are, looking to benefit from that. Also, we saw crude palm oil jumping, in the third quarter of 2025. And it also tightened global supply, and that boosts the earnings outlook for Geregu as well, and also Presco, which is also operating in that sector. But we're going to have Mr. Ambrose talk more on this, what to expect from Okumu and from the other companies like Presco, and maybe you should take position. Let's, Mr. Ambrose, what do you say about Okumu? Let's look at their earnings for a bit there. We see their top line for 2025, 173.9 billion, and that's coming from 103.9 in 2024. Revenue is at the bottom line. We see at 28.3, 60.3. Okay, so we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll continue with this. Welcome back from that quick break. We just had to take it, right? We were talking about Okumu Oil and their earnings for the third quarter, and we're talking about the bottom line, which was at 60.3 billion naira in 2025, as the third quarter of 2025, coming from 28.3 billion in 2024. That's a sharp rise, 113%. And Mr. Ambrose was just talking about what is happening in that sector, especially with oil palm hitting record highs, and that we saw global supply. When it tightens, definitely demand is going to be in the works there. Mr. Ambrose, so Okumu, is it benefiting from the global tightening, or is it just Okumu outperforming in the country?
I would say it's just benefiting they're having now from the global and also for insecurity in Nigeria. Today, palm oil has become like crude oil in Nigeria. Even more than crude oil price, because one, insecurity has made a lot of farmers to stay away from their farm. And Okumu and Presco, because they are well organized, their farm or their plantation are secure. For that, I consider they are rolling out more product processing and selling, and that's what they will have a shortage in the international market. And also, they are selling outside Nigeria, bringing dollars, bringing back to Nigeria in terms of revenue. For me, it's a good one for Okumu. And also, if you look at their share in issue, it's also relatively small, and that has given investors more confidence that also the holding structure is also tight in that regard. And that's why you're seeing this kind of impressive number that's also emanating from Okumu. And it has been consistent in their Q1, Q2, and Q3, and that will give investors more hope that better reward, which Okumu have demonstrated in rewarding shareholders. I will tell you that in any market, once the company is putting a better number and giving investor handsome reward, the price will go up. And that is the essence of investment, because you are there to make money. And the performance of this company is what pride feeds on. And if we are seeing Okumu moving to almost above 1,000, we are not surprised. With this number we are seeing, almost at the end of the year around the corner, they have paid an entry of almost 30 for half year. This 30 are almost 40 for a year. Then at the end of the day, if you look at their earning per share, also moving from almost around 29 naira to almost 63 kobo. For me, 63 naira to 12 kobo. For me, it's a good one. So at the end of the year, they have been expecting to have like 80 naira or 85 naira earning per share. And that means they can also expect like another 20 at the end of the year or 30. Well, that means for me, it's a good one. But if you look at the price they are selling, you can see say the dividend might not be as high as 10%, but I tell you that they demonstrated earning power that have supported their performance. For me, it's a good one. But if you look at others in that industry, let's look at also what is also emanated from Presco. Presco, as we speak now, we're still looking forward to see the third quarter result. But if you look at the second quarter position of Presco, you see that they also outperformed the figure that came from Okumu for third quarter. It's a pointer where Presco is going. And for design investors, I think also you can also in that industry they are rewarding. Then the smaller ones like Ella Lake or livestock that come in. Investors also look at what, because each market or each sector or leaders has a way of moving also the smaller prices. For me, I think as we are spreading this movement, those that are looking at the of Ella Lake, I say also they also have to play with caution. This company have shown in the demonstration their strength for these years. Now we're seeing about yes, if we see where Ella Lake is going, by seeing their product, seeing their plantation, all this can. But for me, I will not advise to personally.
What about their fundamentals?
I will not jump into Ella Lake at this time now until I start seeing the real figure. I tell you that price feed us because what you are seeing the movement of Ella Lake is just market sentiment and also hype here and there. But at the end of the day, we have seen programs that are consistent. When I talk about Okomu, I know the Okomu was once 73 naira, 70 naira to 200 naira. 200 naira today is about above 1,000 naira. It's because they are consistent, their performance. That's why if you also look at our market generally, when the market crashed in 2008, there's a lot of global meltdown. But after then, you can see that companies are consistently moved because of all companies in Nigeria are doing well, they're rewarding their shareholder. That is the trend we are seeing. And for this year, 2025, we have seen tremendous movement in prices. It's because also earnings and economic recovery and government policy have kind of impacted the general economy and the market. For me, it's a good one for investors, but let's also at the same time invest with knowledge. You must combine your fundamental and your technical at any given time. The volume for these stocks are not there. And also for you to move their price, you need to know today about 100,000 units. I say that as you are seeing this stock moving, so that we have more liquidity in the system. That's why what I mentioned at the beginning, that we are seeing money flow already in the market, because if you are seeing money flow around $100, it tells you that funds is in the market, and it shows that the smart money which institutional investors are already in the market for now. For me, there's no cost for allowing. All you do is invest in the right company that has fundamental, but they also use your technical to know the right price to buy, because anytime, any day, there will be fundamental in the market. The right price to buy is what your technicals will help you to do at any given time.
And definitely, thinking of increasing production or volumes of maybe trade. The government is also seeking to raise the annual palm oil production in the country. It's about 5 million tons by 2027 through its initiative. So we'll wait to see how the government does what they're going to do.
You know why I laugh? It's good that government is having initiative. I know, before now, there are many subsistence farmers that have little to take of themselves. Because of insecurity, they can't access to their farm. I think government should start from that. Yes, we are seeing improvement, but we need to do more. Even though we can put security for the farm, so that at least we can go back to the farm. Even I tell you that if we are seeing more farmers going back to the farm, even the price of crude oil, palm oil in Nigeria will naturally come down. So that even those big ones that are going global to sell in the global market will feed us.
Yes, they'll take to things.
Exactly. That's why we need to have security so that people can go back to the farm and start processing. And also, for me, if the government has already have an initiative to do this, which is good, economic development, we need the economy to turn around. This is why I say government policy is a part of what they're driving the market generally. We'll see how far we'll go with it. And that's why investors in Nigeria market are seeing potential. That's why funds are still coming, because we know that with what we are seeing in the next 2 years, 3 years, Nigeria will become a better place if all the policies we are seeing are sustained. In Africa, when we are doing well, you start praising yourself. Before you know it, you are going back to where you are coming from. It's a time to review your strategy, your growth, the kind of, the praise we are giving you, the recovery we are doing. Review it so that you can sustain it. That is the major thing. We are saying that, FS exchange rate is stable. What is good? What can we do to make that, exactly. For me, I say, kudos to every of the economic managers who need to put plans to sustain. That is
more effort.
Yes,
doing well, but more effort.
Yes, exactly.
But let's look at earnings now. Like your results are already trickling in and everything. So what should investors be looking at right now?
No, there is one good thing when it comes to earnings season. It's a time you see a lot of volume in the market, a lot of in and out. When the company result, it beats expectation market. And when it also come disappointing the market also react to that. For that, you see volume in and out. But yes, results are coming just gradually. We don't mention a few that come, but if you look at those that come, the results that came from Okomu, the one that came from Royal Exchange, the one that came from even one Legend Internet, yes, it's a full year result ended for around July, and they are paying 6 kobo. Dividend for a new company that come in. Yes, it might not be good to number, but it's a sign that as you are coming to the exchange, you are also paying dividend immediately. For me, it's a kudos to that. But we need to see more so that the market will feed that earnings season we're expecting, and that will be from next week as more companies. Also, these big names, we have not seen them. The life of Dangote, Boaz, the like of Presco, the life of Steplat. When all these numbers are coming in the market, will change the market. And also the banking sector, we're still waiting to see access data account for Q2. If it come more, this I think that will change that of Fidelity Bank to come. I see that any season is a time that you as an investor, you buy before the numbers. That's why those that followed us in Invest Data, they will call it investing with numbers or investing with date. You know, look at where is the release date of this company. You need to position 2 weeks before the date so that, you know, they will call
always 2 weeks before the
yes,
earnings.
also, if you are using your technical analysis, you look at your value area in that chart, where there will break out on that. You have seen the date respect to this number. You buy in before the numbers. Especially you have seen the performance of that company for the past 2 quarters, and also you know the policy behind them, where they are going. It gives you know where to position before the number. There's only, I call them baby investors that want to see number and they start rushing. But one thing again is that also the mature investor, like institutional investor, they see results, they keep quiet, do analysis, they come back. That's why we, you know, that's why markets have to be. That's why they do any season, you see kind of activities. But for investors, you need to pay attention to is money entering the market, and because we have started seeing a rate cut, naturally there will be, you know, called circular flow of funds, funds going back to the equity market. But the only concern I have now is that we are seeing numbers, you know, increasing number of commercial papers coming to the market. Is that going to hinder no fund going to the equity market? But I believe that
we'll wait and see. Don't be too worried. We'll wait and see. But definitely, investors should know 2 weeks, position yourself before earnings. Don't wait for it to be too late, so that you can actually take advantage and profit.
Follow the trend of the company performance.
Dates very important.
Exactly.
Dates very important. And that's it, Mr. Ambrose. I wish we could talk more about this. Definitely, I'll have you another time. Always good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us on Capital Markets. Mr. Ambrose Omodian, Chief Research Officer, Invest Data Consulting. And that wraps up another edition of Capital Markets. Always remember, as I say, whether the markets are bullish or bearish, knowledge is your best investment. Keep watching, keep learning, and keep growing your financial savvy. You can catch this again on YouTube. I am Will Ibong. Thanks for watching. See you next time.